Hello, my dear subscribers. Here's a tutorial video for this beaded embellishment of these rectangular crystals. I'm doing these videos as part of the sponsorship by Beebeecraft. You can see my latest video, which is unboxing of these crystals and some other things from Beebeecraft. So part of that sponsorship requirement is that I make 2 tutorial videos as well as the unboxing video. And so today we'll be making this kind of little component. In the second tutorial, we'll be making a necklace out of 6 such components. Oh, so if you want to prepare yourself for the next tutorial, you can make 6 of these, and then we'll assemble the necklace together. But anyway, today we are making this one. I'll show you what it looks like in the back. So there we are. The stitch we're going to be using is modified right angle weave, which I honestly think it's even easier than the right angle weave. So if you struggle with right angle weave, this one might be, you know, even simpler. And as you can see, it's very well attached to the setting, this metal setting in which the crystal sits. And then you have this like really regal looking component in the end. So here we are. All the details of sort of sponsorship and how you can even participate in the sponsorship will be in the description of the description box below the video, as well as a coupon for 10% off from Beebeecraft and the links to the materials, well, the description of the materials used today. So to make this component, we're going to need one of these 14 by 10 millimeter crystals in their kind of raw brass setting. We're going to need some Toho 11 permafinish galvanized yellow gold, which are these ones. So let's bring them closer. And then I also have some 3 millimeter Krakowski pearls, which actually I got from Eureka Crystal Beads. And these are really wonderful quality pearls. I have not looked. It is possible that Beebeecraft sells 3 millimeter pearls too, but I've had these ones for a long time, so I'll be using these. All right, so that's all we need to create this component. So let's start. I've got my usual Hercules 8-pound thread, and I have about 64 inches sort of per component. That's going to be plenty, 64 inches, and it's been waxed. And I have a needle, a size 12 needle at the end, at each end of the thread. So the way we start is from the back of the crystal. Okay, I'm going to start by picking up 1/11 and sliding it down to the middle of my thread. Okay, so I'll hold. Okay, so it's right at the middle of my thread. Then I'm going to take both needles and I'm gonna go enter this hole, kind of the bottom right hole, the way I'm holding it. Okay, so I'm gonna put both my needles, keeping those needles together. I'm going to go through, okay, and thus this bead is now attached like on this side. Let me quickly straighten out this needle. It helps having some nylon jaw pliers. Straightening it out by I have warped it quite a bit, making practice, you know, motifs and all the, you know, the motifs necessary for the upcoming necklace. So anyway, just another mention, these are light enough to make earrings out of. So for the fans of rectangular earrings, you know, you can always just attach either a loop here or in the middle, and you have yourself a nice, you know, well, very quite substantial but lightweight earring. So right, so we came out of here. Now we're going to put our needles from the inside towards the outside, okay, like so. Make sure both threads are tightly pulled through, okay? You don't want any loose threads in the middle there. That will make your beadwork flimsy. Now what we do is we pick up another Toho 11 and we put the second needle through it, like so. And we're going to bring it kind of like so. As you can see, hopefully, this is the way I'm bringing it towards the setting. Okay. So now we have these two beads coming out of here. Right, we're going to secure these beads by going through them and the setting several times. So I'm going to take this one of the needles, go back through the setting into the middle here. Okay, and then out. And then into the bead here. And then back in into the setting. Try to, you know, tug, obviously not so much as to tear your thread, but keep your tension like nice and snug. So here we are. I'm gonna go out through this side. Oh, went around the needle here. Okay, let me untangle that, and there we are. Okay, and with this needle we're gonna go through and we come out into the inside of the setting. Okay, you might need to just adjust them a little bit so that they sit, because we want them to sit kind of this way, pointing the same way, okay, like so. And then we're going to come out of here and through this kind of the way we're looking at the bottom right bead, we're going to go through it towards the other bead, and the other needle will go through towards, so our threads go towards each other, okay? And this is how we leave them at this point. Now we're going to we're going to take the needle coming out of this bottom, like bead on the right at the bottom, and then we're going to pick up 3 Toho 11s, okay, and go through this bead again. So we have formed a loop of 4 beads, okay? Now I want to come out of the bead that is on the outside of our beadwork. So I'm going to go through these 2 beads, the following 2 beads in the loop, And now I've come out of these two. Tighten them. Okay, at this point I prefer to turn the beadwork around so the crystal is facing me. And from now on we'll be picking up 4 11/0s until until we reach the next hole where we need to attach them. So we have this loop of 4 beads. We are coming out of the top or the outside bead of this loop here, going right, and we're going to pick up 4 11/0 Tohos. 1 2 3 4. Okay, 4. And what we do is every time we're going to come out of the outside bead of each loop, and each time we're going to go from inside out through this side bead of the previous loop. Okay, so this is how we go. So there we are. We put on 4 beads and we're coming out from inside of the beadwork to the outside of the beadwork. And instead of then here we skip the first bead we picked up and we go through the second bead. And this way I'll explain to you the structure of what we have. So now, as you can see, we've already created 2 loops. Let me bring it closer. Okay, so we have 1 loop, okay, and then we have the second loop, and we have this 1 bead in between. This is the modified right angle weave. So every time, as you can see, we're going to come out at the kind of the top or the outside bead of the loop, and then we pick up 4 beads and we go from inside of the beadwork towards the outside of the side bead. I hope that explanation is adequate. So now we pick up again 4 beads, okay, 4 beads, and we go into this side bead. We skip through the first bead we picked up, we don't touch that, and then we go into the second bead, which is our kind of the outer bead of the loop. So at this point we have now made a 3rd loop, okay, or 3rd loop of 4 beads. So we now have three loops of 4 beads with 2 beads in between the top beads. Okay, that's what we have. So now we need to turn around because we need to start forming loops going down the side, the short side of our rectangle. What we'll have in the end is we'll have 7 loops going along the long side of the rectangle and 5 loops going along the short side of the rectangle. So in order to change the direction, it's super easy. Let me bring it up. Yes. All we do is when we insert a bead between this bead here and this bead here, because when we turn the beadwork around, this side bead from that row now becomes the top bead of our new row when we turn around. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so let's insert 1 bead in between these 2. So it's going to create like a little corner. You see? Here we are. Have a corner bead. And now we can turn the beadwork around. Okay. So now, once again, we pick up 4 Toho 11/0s. Okay, I've got one with a blocked hole there. Let me get rid of that. Right, and once again, we're going from inside towards the outside through this side bead here. Okay, so we picked up 4. So out of those 4 beads, we skip the first one, we go into the second one, to the second bead, and now hopefully this makes clear because we've done the turn already. Okay, so this is our structure. So now we need to create 5 loops this way on the short side of the rectangle. So we have 2 loops. Okay, so once again we pick up 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, go from inside towards the outside of the beadwork. We skip the first bead we picked up and we go into the second bead. It's a pity I have to cover it up, but just to give you an idea where the thread, how the thread looks, the way it's going. See, it's like that. But they really align themselves nicely if you just put your fingers over them, and then your loops become tightly packed together and very well defined. Okay, so we have 3 loops now already. Wait, let me bring some more beads over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 beads, same thing, out through the side bead. We skip the first bead we picked up, go into the second one only. Okay, and we tighten it between our fingers. So we have 4 now. Now we do 1, 2, 3, 4 beads, and here we are going to create now the 5th loop on this side of the rectangle. Okay, so this is what we have now. Now once again, to turn around, all we need to do is we insert a bead between these 2 corner beads. Okay, see if I can bring it. My zoom doesn't work very well when I'm really close to the camera, so let's try here. So we need to insert a bead here. There. Just a bead in between. And now we have our corner bead, and at the same time we have turned around. Okay, so there we are. We can turn our beadwork around. Okay, and now we proceed in exactly the same way. We pick up 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 beads. We go into this side bead, from inside of the beadwork towards the outside of the beadwork. We skip the first bead we picked up and we go into the second one. I'm sure I don't need to show every single step at this point, but for the third loop I will show you very clearly exactly what it is that I'm doing. So at this point we have created 2 loops on this side. Now the third loop will need to attach to this hole in the setting. Okay, so let's create the third loop first. 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. Once again, going through the side bead. Okay, going through the side bead, we skip the first bead we picked up and we go just through the second one, which is our, the outside or the top bead of the loop. Okay, so that's our third. If I straighten this out, this is our third loop along the other long edge of the rectangle. Now we need to guide our needle around the same loop in order to come out of this bead here. Okay, so we go through these 2 beads. Now at this point, what I want to do is, well, while still looking this way, we can, once we are coming out of this inner bead of this third loop from the edge, we can go into that hole in the setting. Okay, it might be easier to see it from the other side. So let's turn this around. And we're going to go into this hole, the nearest hole to where our third loop is positioned to. So, okay. So we've gone through this hole. Now we're going to come out straight through this hole. And here we're going to attach another bead to use later. And then we're going to, by going back into this second hole here, and then we're going to go back into the hole where we came out of. Then we need to go through this bead again. Oh my, I don't like it when it pulls aside so much. Okay, so make sure your thread is like really nicely packed, that nothing is, there shouldn't be any looseness between where these two beads are attached to the setting. Okay, so now we're gonna go through that hole again. I'm gonna go a couple of times through these beads to make sure they are attached really securely. Okay, and then back through this bead. Back into the setting. Sorry, I've got the thread loops around sometimes. Okay, and then back through this. Okay, so we've gone two, you can go 2 or 3 times through these, and that should be adequate. So now we need to be coming out of this bead. Okay, we need to be coming out of this bead through this third loop. We need to be going out this way. So we need to put our needle through this way. Okay. Hopefully that's, and then go around the loop through the side bead here. Okay, coming out of the side bead. And then we're going to go into this bead at the top. Okay, and at this point we can turn the beadwork around to make it sort of clearer what's going on the face kind of our embellishment. Okay, this is what's happening. So now we have attached this third loop to the I have pulled my needle, I've pulled my thread around something here. Yes, it's gone around this bead. Okay, good. Don't need to undo anything. But you have to be careful with so many beads in play. You really need to make sure that your thread is following smoothly through all of the beads. There shouldn't really be any kind of thread visible between them. Okay, so now we carry on in the same fashion. we pick up 4. We'll make the 4th loop now in this row. 1, 2, 3, 4. We take 4 beads, we go into the side one, side bead of this loop that we just attached. We skip the first bead, go into the second bead that we just picked up. And now you'll notice what we have here. Let's see, this bead, it'll twist one way easier than the other, so okay. So now what you'll have is you have this 4th loop, and to make the 5th loop we already have 1 bead here, the inner bead on the inside of the beadwork. So we need to add the bead in between the top loops, in between the tops of the loops, the top bead of that loop, and then the side bead. So we need only 3 beads because we already have here this one in place. So we'll pick up 3 in this instance, and we're gonna go into this bead next to the setting and into the side bead of the previous loop. It's quite tricky to keep everything tight and in place with this, so with the camera, with it being behind the camera, it's even trickier. Right, so we're coming out of the side bead, and once again we are skipping the first bead and we just go into the second one. Okay, so this is how we now have attached our 5th loop to this bead that we already had in place here. Okay, so now we need to make 2 more loops to make 7 loops along this edge. Once again we pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 beads, go into the side loop, skip the first, go into the second, and make sure to pull everything nice and snug together. Okay, once again we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, into the side, we skip the first bead and go into the second one, and pull everything tight together as before. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so in order to turn around, once again all we do is we place a bead between the one we're coming out of and this one in the corner. So we take a bead and we just go into this side bead here, and just like that we have turned around. Okay, so I hope these explanations are clear. And as you can see, we already have like a really nice kind of solid structure going around our crystal. So once again, here we need to place 5 loops. We have our first one, so let's create the other 4. All we do is we keep picking up 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 beads through the side one, and skip the first and go into the second one. And we pull nice and tightly to make them sit neatly together. 1, 2, 3, 4 through the side bead, make sure your loop doesn't get twisted. Okay, and go through the second bead. That first bead we put out of the four, you know, the first of the four beads that we put, it always is the bead that sits in between the kind of these outer beads of each loop. Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the side. Okay, skip the first, go into the second one. Okay, there we are. So now we have 4 loops and we need the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, skip through the first bead and go into the second one. It's a pity because I really need to keep my fingers over the beadwork in order to keep everything neatly together, but then you don't really see kind of where they come in. So here we have, okay, so we have all 5 loops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see if you can see like this. So once again we need to turn around, and just as before, it's very simple. We're coming out of this bead here, and we just pick up 11-0 and we go into this side bead, and once we turn around it becomes our top bead or outer bead. Okay, so now we pick up once again 1, 1, 1, 1 if I can pick it up. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We pick up 4 beads, go into the side one. At this point, the beadwork still is a bit flimsy because it's not been attached all the way around the crystal. But try to keep that kind of direction flowing. Then skip the first bead, go into the second one. Once you've done this a few times, it becomes really intuitive. And yeah. And so here we have this bead. Let's straighten it out. Okay. So now once again, we have this bead already in place. So we only pick up 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. And we go into this bead at the bottom and into the side one. You can do it in 2 goes. You don't have to like do it at the same time the way I did it. Okay, and then we skip the first bead we picked up and we go into the second one. Once again, I'm covering everything up to keep it tightly, but here we are. So we have attached. So our third loop from either side is always attached to these the holes in the setting. Okay. Now here it gets a little interesting because we have this side bead, this side bead here. Okay. So here we need the kind of the bead in between the outside beads of each loop. We have then we need the outside bead of the loop, then we have the side one, and then we just need the inner bead of the loop. Let me show you. It's here. So first we pick up, at this point we pick up 2 Toho 11-0s, and then we go into this side bead of the very first loop. Okay, see what I did there? Then I pick up the bead here, and then I go out into this, out of the side bead of the last loop we created. And once again, out of those 2 beads we picked up here, I skip the first one and I only go through the second one. Okay, there we are. Okay, I think this tutorial is taking much longer than I thought it would. All right then, so now all we have is this gap to fill in, okay, between these 2 beads. So we just take an 11-0 and we go into, might even go easier to go through the back of it, okay, just into this bead. Let me, it's caught the other thread, excuse me, I'll show you in a second. There, okay, so there we are, we have placed this bead, and now look at that, our rectangle all around is complete and it's attached to the crystal setting. Okay, so now I hope it will be clear here. Coming out of this bead, okay, we are going to go into this bead and then we're going to go into this bead. Okay, let's do that first. So we go through into this bead and then we're going to go into this bead here in the corner, because what I want to do at this point is fill in, and to make the structure more rigid, I'm going to place a bead in between these 2 beads. I'm going to place another bead here, 3rd bead here, and the 4th bead there, and then we'll do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to place bead in that corner, 1, 2, and in the corner again. Okay, let me show you. I made a drawing to represent this. So the beads I'm talking about filling in here, this is my diagram for this setting. So the beads we are filling in are all these beads you see here in the corner. So it's this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we need to insert those, all these kind of beads in green, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So coming out of, let's see, please focus. Okay, so coming out of this bead here, hopefully you can see which bead it is. Okay, we need to go pick up a bead and then go into this one here. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so we'll pick up a bead and we'll go into this corner here. Okay, hopefully that'll be, see, we filled in that corner. Now we need to get another bead and go into this next bead, because as you can see we have quite a lot of space here, so I'm trying to fill it in and make the structure also more rigid. So once again, pick up another bead, go into this bead here, and then one more bead, and we'll go into the corner bead here. Okay, so as you can see, we have filled in the beads in this area, so it's nice and snug against the setting of the crystal. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up through this bead, because I need to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to come out of the outer bead of the 3rd loop away from the edge. Okay, the outer bead of the 3rd loop away from the edge. Hope you can see where it is, just all the way there. Now keep it nice and snug. Okay, there we are. Look how neat it is on that side. So we need to do the same thing on this side now. We're going to go down the side loop that's shared between the 2nd and 3rd loop on that side, then the inner bead of the 2nd loop, and now we're going to get my beads gathered here. Now we're going to insert the bead between these two beads. So between, see, in this corner, 1, 2. Insert a bead there. Then we're gonna take another. I'm specifically using beads that are on the smaller side a bit, so they fit nicely. Okay, there. So now we need to insert the bead in this gap here. Let's do that now. And now we just need to insert the bead in that corner there. See if we can find a nice bead to go there. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to then come out of here. Okay. So I'm gonna come out here, and I can even like turn around and come out through a couple of beads just to get that thread away, because now what we're going to do is we're going to work with the other thread and needle. So we were coming out of the bead here next to the hole of the setting. Now what I want to do is come out around this loop, the middle loop. So we're going to go around the middle loop, up the side, then through the outer bead here until we are coming out through this side. Okay, let me show you on this side. Okay, but I want the needle to be on the outside, on the crystal side. So there we are. I'm coming out here. Now what I want to do is I want to place pearls all around this rectangle. And the way we're gonna do that is our starting position is always going to be with the thread coming out right next to the crystal from this side bead. So we're going to be placing pearls. Let me see if I can zoom in to show you. We're going to be placing our pearls between all these side beads, and on the long side all the pearl holes will be oriented this way, and on the short side just the 3 pearls that will go into these 3 spaces, they will be oriented that way. Okay, so on the long side all the pearls will have their holes oriented this way. Okay, so let's pick up a pearl, and to attach a pearl, so our thread is coming out here, out of the side bead, right next to the crystal, and we're going to go from outside of the side bead to the inside, and we'll pull it gently, then go back through the pearl, and then back through the side bead the same way. We always, these side beads, we always go from outside in towards the inside of the beadwork. Okay, and then back through the pearl again. Okay, and then we pull it nice and tightly so that it sits neatly like this above our beadwork. Okay, and then we're gonna go right back into the side bead right after the pearl. Okay, so now we're going to attach the next pearl exactly the same way between these 2 side beads, and then between these 2 side beads, and then between these 2 side beads, and then we'll turn the direction, and then we'll attach between these 2 side beads, then between these 2. By side beads I mean the side beads of each loop. Okay, so we have like the inner beads of the loop, outer beads of the loop and the side beads of the loop, okay? Depending on how we orient them. Right, so next, pick up a pearl. Actually, at this point, I wanted to show you the trick. So if you have like a sewing needle with all these Krakowski pearls, what I like to do is I like to put them on my needle to make sure that the holes are widened, and if there is any filling, you know, of the coating that's interfering with passing through the hole, then this will take care of that. Right, let me quickly do that. So okay, so those have the holes cleared, because sometimes that coating, it can also be a little rough on the thread, and even though it's like a what's it called, it's resistant to fraying, and it's true, whenever I worked with this thread it's almost never frays, but still I prefer to have like clear holes so that it's easier to work with. So let's quickly finish these up. Just 4 pearls left. I don't know how many pearls I had here. You only need 20 pearls for each motif. Okay, that's done. So now I can get back to this, and we can attach our next pearl. Okay, so we take this, we go into the side bead like this, back into the pearl, into the side bead before the pearl. Make sure to always enter the needle from outside of the beadwork towards the inside of the beadwork every time you go through these side beads of each loop. So, and then back into the pearl, we tighten, okay, so that you'll see it sits nicely with the thread. You'll see the thread will be even on either side. It's not going to be shorter and longer on either side of this side beads of the side of the pearl. So there we are, and we are ready for the next pearl. Okay, let's pick up the next pearl into the side bead, next side bead, back into the pearl, into the side bead before the pearl, back into the pearl, sorry, then tighten, okay, and then back into the, remember, each time we attach a pearl we must be coming out of the side bead from outside towards the inside of the beadwork, okay? So here the next side bead is right on the edge there, so we will pick up might need to help the needle go through at the edge there. Okay, back into the pearl, into the side bead before the pearl, back into the pearl, tighten it, okay, and then back into this side bead. So now I'm going to show you how we turn around. So to change the direction, because the next 3 pearls will be attaching with their holes oriented this way, so the side bead, these will be now our side beads, okay? So I need to simply go from this bead here into this bead. It's as simple as that. That's changing from long side to the short side. So changing from short side to the long side, it's going to be a few more passes. Anyway, I'll explain when we get there. Okay, once again, attach the next pearl, pick up the pearl, go into the next side bead, back into the pearl, into the side bead, back into the pearl, tighten. Okay, we see it's like nice and even, and then back into the side bead, okay, and we attach next two pearls the same way. Pick up the pearl, sometimes it's a little fiddly going through there, into the side bead, back through the pearl, into the side bead before the pearl, back into the pearl, we tighten, and into the side bead after the pearl. Okay, so and at this point it should be pretty clear how we are attaching them. So next one, same thing, into the side bead, back into the pearl, into the side bead. Really hoping I have enough storage on my phone for this video. Back out, tighten, and now since we are coming out of, so we are coming out of this bead here, right? Let me my camera settle. So we're coming out of this bead, but we want to be coming this way through this side bead in order to attach all the pearls along the long row. So we need to go around this loop. So I'm gonna go up there through this. Okay, just going around this loop. Okay. And if you've done right angle weave before, it would definitely help with this pattern, because you will be familiar with orientation of the beads. But hopefully it's clear enough what I'm explaining. Okay, so now we're coming out of this bead, and this is now our new side bead. I need to tighten that. Okay. And now we're attaching pearls going lengthwise here, so along the long edge. Once again, pearl and into the next side bead, back through the pearl, through the previous side bead, if I can get into it. Okay, back into the pearl, and we tighten it, and we go into the side bead after the pearl. Okay, I'm not trying to do too much sort of zoom in. You can skip ahead to see what happens after I attach all the pearls if it's clear, but I'm just gonna keep going because I never tried editing my videos before, so I'm just sticking, and you've got everything kind of live live as it's happening. So there we are, and then tighten and straight through the side bead. Okay, so we're about halfway done with embellishing the pearls. So I'm just going to carry on here while you carry on. So all the same as explained before. So if I just concentrate on beading, it'll go a little faster. And I think I lost my thread here. Okay. Okay. Sometimes the thread will tend to twist a bit. So at that point, what I prefer to do is actually take it off the needle and wax it. I guess I really underestimated how long this tutorial would take. I thought it would be half an hour, and we are almost at 1 hour mark already. Well, I suppose it takes time to explain things, so anyway, I won't rush myself. So let's carry on through the next side bead, back through the pearl, back through the side bead, pearl, okay. Two more on this edge. Yeah. I keep bumping into the camera too. Well. Okay, into the side bead. Okay, there. So this is what we have so far. As you can see, they're all like being aligned nicely in the row. All right, let me, come on. Let's pick it up, and then through this side bead. And then once again, we're gonna turn from the long edge to the short edge, which, I mean, I have already shown you how to do that. So most people probably won't watch this part, which is fine. It's completely your choice. And then we just go through this bead to attach the beads on the pearls on the side. Let me just make sure I don't have any weird, you know, threads that got caught anywhere. Okay, let's see. Let's pick up this one. This side. Yeah, like I explained, for the necklace, we'll this is the 6th one I made, so we'll need 6 for the necklace. And believe me, the way it's starting to look, it's really worth it, because it's incredibly regal. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing it up with you in the next tutorial video, because yeah, I mean, it'll go well for, I don't know, a wedding necklace, or what do you call those? Some people go to these medieval fairs, you know, that would, I mean, this necklace would be fit for a queen. I was actually thinking about calling it Catherine the Great's, I don't know, necklace, I don't know, collier, I'm not sure. But I don't know, that's kind of what I was thinking, something along, some kind of extravagant queen's jewel. So that's what I was going for. Or maybe Elizabeth, you know, Elizabethan treasure or something. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, if you have name suggestions for, you know, this motif or this necklace, please, I'd appreciate some name suggestions. But I'm not usually very good at naming my jewelry pieces. So. Right. Now here, since we're moving from the short edge to the long, once again, we need to walk all around this loop. Come on. Yes. And then here. There we are. Okay, very good. Sometimes it just decides to jump out. Right, so now we have 3 more to attach. There we are. So here we go. Once again, remember the holes of the pearls on the long edge are all parallel with the long edge. So it's not that it's like super important, but for consistency, it just looks neater, you know, more consistent, just nicer, really, tidier. I think for the part to bring all the pearls together, I'll have to use that thread that I left aside there, because the current thread is getting a little short, and I want to leave enough of a tail to weave it in the back afterwards. So there's just enough thread for each motif in this. I mean, it does use up quite a bit of thread. So, okay. There we are, last pearl, exactly the same way. There's nothing special about attaching the last pearl in the round. It's all exactly the same way, between the 2 side beads, just like before. Back into the pearl, back into the side bead before it, back into the pearl, and at the moment you can still kind of like, you know, separate them, and so you can still kind of look how neatly they all sit next to each other. Okay, so that's how they should sit. And then we'll come out through the side bead, and we can even go round to the back. Now at this point, this end is quite a bit shorter than the other end, so I'll work with the other end to secure. But with these, to weave in the ends, I didn't make any knots. I just wove in the ends all around, you know, just by going around each loop, the beads in each loop, like that. So, you know, we'll go around. Oh, there we are. Fantastic. Kicking my camera. Yeah, go like a couple of times through 3 or 4 loops in the round, and yeah, and then it'll, you know, and then you'll be able to just burn off the end or cut it off. Right, at this point we are not done yet. Okay, let's use the other end, or whichever end you have that's the longest remaining. And now this is the final part where the whole thing comes together, and then it just ends up being all like nice and rigid. If I'm trying to get the thread into, come on. Oh, I'll try the other needle. I think I squashed the eyes of my needles a bit. Okay, right, so what we want to do with this one, the other thread that we had here, so we're coming out of this one. Well, what we want to do is, yeah, let's just go along like this. Let's go around the sort of round the edge until I'm coming out on one of the sides, somewhere in the middle, but make sure that you go out not in one of these intermediate beads in the modified right angle, but actually on the outer bead of one of the loops. So either this bead or this bead or this bead, but not the in-between beads. So we're coming out of here, and then I'm gonna go into this bead and come out on the crystal side. Okay, so we just want to be coming out of the way where we were attaching the beads. So now I'm gonna go through this pearl here. I'm coming out, see, I was coming out through the side bead of one of the loops. I'm coming out through the pearl, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pick up a pretty little 11-0 and go into the next, well, however many you can pass through at once, however many pearls. Let's go through 3, and we'll pull them tightly, so we'll have this little corner like that. Just to show you, this is our finished, you see, result. We have all these beads in the corners, so they pull everything nicely together. And we'll go around, first we'll place all these beads in the corners, and then we'll go around everything one more time just to really secure everything. Okay, so here we are. We have reached another corner. We're coming out of the pearl before last. Pick up a pretty little bead and going through the next one or two. You don't have to try and go through all of them. And then let's go through this one here. So now we've gone through all three on this side. Okay. Now we pick up another pretty little, yes, bead, and we're gonna go through a few, well, through all of them eventually on the long side of here, the long edge. Okay, this is why it's really important to have a size 12 needle here, because we're going so many times through all the same beads. It really helps out. Okay, and then the last one, pick up the last one. Okay, I don't know, can I go through both of them? It's only letting me through one. Okay, I'll go through one, and then I'll go through these two at once. Yes. Okay, so we've gone all around once, and then I'm gonna go all around all these pearls one more time, just in this circle where we picked up, so avoiding all the corner pearls, and then guide my needle back into, you know, one of the loops, then weave around 3 or 4 couple of times, and then just burn off a thread. Like I said, I didn't make any knots, and they hold up very well, and they're very sturdy. So, you know, by the time you're done weaving in all your thread, it should be nice, really nice and sturdy. Like even at this point, now we've, you know, introduced this bead, it's already really nice and sturdy component. So here we are. I have made all these other ones ready to make the necklace. And if you are going to be preparing these for the necklace, we will need 6, and for one of them I needed a thread that is extra long. So the thread that was, so it would have been what, 60 plus another, let me quickly measure for you and I'll tell you. So another, oh my, where's the measuring tape when I need it? Excuse me here. Good. Got my thread all tangled up for some reason. Okay, right. So that was 64, I said, so for, and then plus maybe 30, so like, let's just say 64, 65 inches for 5 of the elements of thread, and then like 95 to 100 inches for one of the elements, because like on one of them I have quite a long thread. We'll need that for attaching, where's my, yes, we'll need that for attaching these kind of drops that go along here. So that's kind of going to be the necklace. So yes, if you're going to be preparing them for the necklace to bead with me in the next tutorial, 5 of them I made using 65 inches, 64, 65 inches of thread, and one of them I used 95 inches of thread, and I left that extra thread to, you know, to use later. So there we are. I'm just going to go around and like I said, since I want to go around twice all this pearl, so I'll go around again, then I'll weave in the thread, and on these 5 where I use 65 inches of thread, I've woven in all the thread and I cut off all the ends. So these are all ready for kind of our necklace assembly in the next tutorial. My goodness, this was a really long tutorial. Anyway, so I won't hold you any longer. If you feel like preparing for the next tutorial, go ahead, or just wait till it comes out and see if you even like the necklace. So I'll leave you at this, and happy Easter, everyone, and yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.